Hello, my name is Daniel P. Lopez. I'm the author of 7 published books, and this is my new book, Dark Stages, available online on Amazon.com and at danielplopez.com as ebooks and as paperback. This book is about, it's a chapter of my life from birth to age 20, and it just talks about a lot of issues of how I grew up, my childhood, my teenager years, what I went through, and things of the past that still affect me to this day. Well, basically there was a lot of loneliness. When I look back at my childhood, I think of loneliness and anger and just being an outsider, being different, being picked on. I mean, yeah, I had good times in my past too, of course, but when I look back, I tend to dwell or think more of the bad times. In this new book, obviously it's not fiction, it's non-fiction. It's part of my life, a chapter of my life, or a memoir is what I call it. And even though it's about me, of course it reflects my family too. I started writing about my life 20 years ago, in the year of 1996. I remember after I got a word processor, and I just started reflecting on my past, and since then I worked off and on it for the past 20 years. The reason I call this book Dark Stages is basically because I feel that there's a lot of darkness in my life, not just then, but what came afterwards, especially afterwards. And these books, although this is not my life story, it's a chapter of my life. And I call these chronicles the Dark Chronicles because there's a lot of darkness within my mind, and things that happened to me and things that still affect me to this day. So it's kind of like a cloud that always lingers with me and is always there, the darkness. Just I would feel what happened to me, or what makes it dark in this book, is basically a lot of paranoia and fear of being alone and an outsider, being picked on, and just being different, being closeted as gay, even though I didn't admit or accept myself as being gay back then. It wasn't until later on that I finally came out as being gay, but back then I wasn't out, even to myself. I hope that people not look at me, but just learn things about who I am and why I ended up who I am. Because even though the past is the past, like they say, the past always shapes who we are in the future, and I'm a strong believer of that. Well, first of all, this is not a fiction book. It's non-fiction, a chapter of my life, and it's different because it's about more about me. It's all, well, not just more about me, but it's all about me. My things I've went through, things that, tragedies, family issues, family problems, school, why I had no friends, and relationships with girls and guys, and just all those things. My book Dark Stages is a chapter of my life, and it talks about my past with my family, certain issues, the good and the bad. It talks about my teenage years, about tragedies that I went through during my teenage years, and why I was a loner, why I had no friends. There's just a lot to tell, and I felt that I needed to tell my story in 4 different chapters, because they are 4 different chapters of my life.